Hi everyone, Craig Williams here, back with another video. In this video I'm going to show you some tips on arrangements, and especially if you're getting just started into producing your own music, I found that this was like a hard stage to really get something that I was happy with, and then making the track flow a little bit better, because when you're starting out you're just sort of learning the structure of songs. Even if you have been DJing or whatnot, it's still good to actually see some finished tracks as an arrangement, so then you sort of get an idea of what's going on. So this track here is one of the remixes I did for the remix album, which comes out very soon, and this is the Drop the Lime remix, and the track's Shake. So the way I work is I'll work as same as most people, as an 8-bar loop, until I've got enough elements that I'm 100% happy with what's going on and how the track's sort of sounding as this part sort of thing. So I'll give you a bit of a play of that. So I would have the track like this before I start the arrangement, and I found that getting as many of the elements together while it's like this is a huge help, because then you don't sort of sell yourself short and you're thinking about more elements to put into the track. But then again, that's just me and that's how I work. So I know other people that as soon as they get a general idea, they just want to start the arrangement straight away, and then they know what they're missing. I tend to overdo it with this part here and have more elements than I generally need, and then sometimes I'll have parts here that I just don't end up using. So it's good just for me to have more than I need, and then I can just spread it out. So with the arrangement, one of the big tips that I picked up was, especially when you're starting out, is to use tracks that you already know that work. If you're making a tech house track and you've got a track that you really like and you know it works when you've played it out, just bring it up, bring it into the session, and just have a look what they've done, how long their intro is, how long their breakdown is, and stuff like that, and just sort of analyze it. You're obviously not going to be copying the sounds, but you're just copying the layout. And 90% of the dance tracks out there sort of follow a very similar sort of formula of intro, breakdown, drop, a bit of a build, another breakdown, a build, and then the main drop. So for this one, we've got, I always start my tracks at bar 17. That gives me room to work in here. First up, we've got just the intro. So I just have it, every one of my tracks I'll have a minimum of 32 bar intro, and when you're starting out, 32 bars is like a nice number. You can divide it into 8. See, I've divided this into 8 of just that, and then at the end of the 8 I've got a little riser, which is just a reverse ride. I find it's a bit smoother than a reverse crash or something like that. And then I just bring in another element, and then after 16 bars, change the kick from a filtered kick onto a normal kick. So, and I'll bring the bass in there. Again, another 8, and then I bring in the sort of the funky sort of clap there, and then I have, this is the main sort of build up before the break. And then for the break, I've kept it at 16. I've kept this, I usually tend to keep the first break around about 16 bars, and then if I have a long break it will be 32, just to keep things easy. But obviously each track's a little bit different, but for this one I've kept it at 16. With this one I've got lots of effects following out of the sort of intro section, and then I have little bits like the claps starting to build up, I have a couple of effects here building up, and then the vocal starts to build up a bit more. And then I've got the little fill at the end with the snare drum from the original pack. And then just kicks into the track sort of thing. I usually try and strip it down for the first sort of drop, just keeping some drums and bass and maybe another element or two in there. You don't want to sort of go too hard on this first one, because then when the second drop comes, it's sort of, you're not really going to have the same impact. And sometimes by having less elements, it can have more of an impact if you just have especially a driving bass line, and a kick can just punch through the club so hard. So that's sort of how it's got there. And then again, every 8, start to bring different elements in, and all I'm doing is bringing them in and taking them out for each one. I've got another little mini break here of just 8 bars. And this one I bring in this little moog from the original, and then I take everything else away except just, so I take all the drums away that I had. Still driving along because I've got the sub bass, the 808 bass in there. You might be able to hear that, you might not. And then another little ride. And then I start to bring more elements in again. So if I was to go like this and just skip through, you can see from here, this section to this section, it would flow. You could have it, I could have just done away with this section, but I found it was good to sort of bring the energy back down a little bit and then bring it back up again for this section here. It sort of helps give a bit of variety for the track. Again, I've done it here where I've taken the clap out, and then I have another little breakdown here. Lots of effects, and then builds up. And then I've got pretty much all the elements going there. So now that I've shown you an arrangement with all the parts, I've got an arrangement down here, which is just a bunch of arrangements. These are all tracks from the remix. So this is a Calvin Harris one. Again, 32 bars of intro into a little break. And at the end of each one, you can hear that I've got a little teaser. She's sort of saying, Wellets, I think it is. And then I have the whole vocal section there. And does a little build up in the breakdown, and then see, all I've got in that is a kick bass and a little percussion hits. Start to bring more elements in, and then this is the main breakdown. And in the main breakdown, to differ it from the first one, I'll bring in the sort of horn section there at the end, and then comes in with all the elements at the end there. Got this one, the Sound of Stereo. Again, 32 bar intro, slowly building up each section. Just got the piano that builds up, and you can hear the sort of creepy 16th note lead coming in. And that's the part you can hear there. And all I've got is the kick and that lead and a little bit of a shuffled sort of snare drum. And you can pretty much see the parts there where the breakdown starts to build the track up a bit, builds up a bit more, And I have like a sort of a middle 8 section where it changes the track up a little bit. And then I come back with more elements again to the second breakdown. And this one, build it up a little bit more, and then I switch the actual main sort of part of the track there. What else we got? This is in. So this is a remix of Switch's "I Still Love You." This one is, I think it's slightly different. So technically this one you could call that a 48 bar intro, but I mean for the purposes of mixing you could have it as 32. Again, it's all it is just bringing stuff in every 8 bars. Starting to bring in the sort of it's like a reverb sort of organ sound, and then yeah, there's the organ sound there. And then there's the sort of the main sort of the little breakdown at the start, and then this is the first drop, which of all I've got is the vocal, bit of hats, kick, and the 808 bass. And now I brought in the snare and clap, and the vocals sort of changed up a bit, and then it comes onto the main sort of break here. This is the main break. And I just wanted this section to be super airy and stuff, so I've just got the vocal and the organ sort of synths in there, and then it comes up to the main sort of drop. So there you go. Hopefully that's sort of given you a little bit of insight into arrangements and sort of help you out a bit with what's going on. Again, my biggest tip is just to get arrangements that you know that work. Change them to the BPM of your track, and then just sort of follow along and have a look what they've done, and if they've brought in a snare, like you put in your snare. If they've changed up the section, maybe change up your section. It's all just trial and error, but definitely when you're starting out, these little tips of just having a sort of a guideline really help and will speed up your process a lot more. And then once you've sort of done a couple of tracks and you know what sort of sounds good and how you like to do it, like you might not want a 32 bar intro, you might want, as I've done with this switch track, you might want a longer intro, or you might want a shorter one because the way you DJ and stuff like that. I just try and make it as super simple for DJs when they play the tracks, that if there's a 32 bar intro, that it's like super easy to mix into, and I've always got a 32 bar outro, so it's super easy to mix out of. Just try and make it easy for people to play the tracks so they'll want to play them, as opposed to you having weird time signatures or stuff like that, and then people just like, hell to that, I'm not going to play those tracks, they're too hard to mix. So if you want to know any more tips, feel free to drop us a line. Keep a lookout for this remix album. It's coming out very soon. Everything's done. I'm just waiting on the artwork, and then it will be free for everyone. Make sure to subscribe to my SoundCloud and Facebook. Until next time, see you later.